Hey there, Rebus forever here. I'd like to talk about a game called Universim. First of all, as a disclaimer, I've only played the most recent patch, the Beast Lord one, Beast Hunter, some sort of... There's lots of games with Beast in them, it's one of those. I'm going to say Beast Hunter. And also the Al Pacino patch, previously. Probably spent about, I don't know, based on the amount of recordings I've got, at least 12 hours playing the game. The game is still in early development, with current gameplay representing potentially just a testing of systems rather than a final representation of gameplay, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. That aside, this is going to be a little look at Universim, the game as is, my experiences and my hopes, based on the promotional material and the trailer. First, let's have a gander at the trailer and see what we are being promised. I'm going to share my feelings whilst experiencing the trailer. Oh, spooky. Mystery.
This is a mass of rock and air, molded together in the infinite fabric of space.
Intrigued.
Intertwined to create the perfect environment for sustaining life.
Well, it's a survival game, so I dispute that.
I am a living planet.
Now when she says I, is that us? Will we be a living planet? Oh look, there's a lion! There's a lion over there. That's from The Lion King.
Alone for such a long time.
Uh-oh, sad planet.
Until one day, life burned into existence.
Huzzah!
They began so small.
That sort of implies that they're British
so
life.
Very young.
They're called
but with
nuggets.
Time, they grew stronger, and civilizations rose from the dust. From stone to metal, their technologies advanced. Soon they learned to swim.
Not really
and
swimming.
They learned how to fly.
Kind of also... don't worry.
For a time, I thought we would be friends. But that was not to be. They drained my resources for
Someone was a naive planet.
Until I had nothing left to give. They endured my disasters and cured whatever diseases I could unleash.
What a bunch of... we are.
One day, they turned their gaze to the stars, searching for others like me.
And what we found inception
what they
noises.
Know was that they were not alone.
Oh, I missed that one. Okay, so, that's the trailer. Now, I personally, from the trailer, got the impression of quite a hands-off game. I kind of got the impression that you'd be playing more from the planet's perspective than your more typical village management perspective. Probably not so much placing buildings yourself, but probably more creating the right environment for your followers to build the houses and organise themselves. I very much take to the idea that I got from the trailer, even if it's my own doing. Want to be a god? If so, then look no further. We've got you covered. The Universim has been designed from the ground up to make a very different take on your typical god game. At its core, it offers all the juicy features that longtime fans of the genre have come to know and love. But this isn't just a simple good genre revival, it's a revolution. Take control of a dynamic, evolving gameplay experience as you advance your civilization from stone to the stars above. The fates of entire planets rest in your hands. With an AI that makes dynamic decisions in a world that is forever changing, the possibilities are endless. So what will it be? Will you guide your people towards prosperity, or merely watch as they descend into ruin? This is your power. This is the power of a god. Based on what I've played so far, I'd say this is probably a more accurate representation of the gameplay than the trailer. So far we've only really got the Stone Age, but in the future they are promising interplanetary expansion. The use of the word conquer suggests that you're going to be fighting against opponents, The research system currently is quite a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing it expand. Only one type of planet at the moment, but we are being told that the planets that you expand to will be wide-ranging in biomes. Research is super important and quite an enjoyable system. This is more important because I feel that the trailer probably didn't convey that the game is a survival game as well as it probably could have. The game effectively is a really excellent village survival game. The trailer's perspective, the narrative being provided from the perspective of the planet, kind of implied that the human life on the planet would just be this organic thing that coexisted with you, and that you could control and influence, but not necessarily that you would be guiding. In this game, you have the same degree of control that you would expect in any game like Settlers or Banished, but with the addition of god powers that you might expect from Populous or Populous 2 or Populous 3. Basically, any of the Populous games. They say that Universim is a good game with a twist. I would probably describe the game as a village survival game with a twist, and the twist being elements of God game. The game is currently in pre-alpha, and you can get it and play it, and you know what, even if you're not a sad planet, and like I really want a game where you can just be a sad planet that's sort of got a sort of human bacteria growing on you that you sort of resent and try and help, but they end up being all human-y. First paragraph just promises that no two planets will be the same, there'll be disasters and all sorts of organic behavior between the AI and the world. The second one I'm more confused at. Your citizens will make their own decisions. The notion that how the game currently plays will allow for two AI cities to declare war on one another, I can't even begin to imagine. There simply isn't the definition between, you know, one faction or another, and I'm curious how that's going to manifest, if it even can. Research, brilliant, yep, covered, totally approve. You have god powers, super, brilliant, they work okay. But again, you are literally playing a village survival game, and the incentive to make any part of your village experience a disaster is minimal. A very slight disaster, based on how the game currently plays, will mean that you will be returning to an earlier save, or else just giving up and restarting. They haven't integrated the real sort of dynamic sort of morphing and warping of the planet at the moment. The Prometheus in-game engine is supposed to be the thing that provides lots of the more dynamic elements of how the planet operates. I think the vast majority of that has yet to be integrated into the game. You're going to have to look elsewhere, possibly buy yourself a sandpit if you want to experience that short term. The seasons are done really well already, and I can only assume will get better. And this is all about the further aims, space, and the more sci-fi components that at the moment I really can't imagine. I mean, it's quite a difficult village building game at the moment. If you had to skip between different planets, I mean, the amount of micromanaging that would entail kind of terrifies me. They do have a very nice UI. I can't fault it. The game feels very intuitive to play. You know what you're doing pretty quickly. You've got a cool swooping around like the Evil Dead camera effect, which I appreciate. And here's a look at the roadmap. As you can see, we've only achieved like the earliest stages at the moment, with a lot of the medieval era yet to be integrated into the game. Even the roadmap is constantly changing apparently, so that's where that is. So, let's take a look at the actual gameplay. Loading screen. As you can see, the graphics are quite attractive already. You begin the game by placing like a god pole, like a central point for your civilization. Picking the right point with the right resources available immediately is sensible. Here I'm going for somewhere with availability for some water, some mountains or desert, some trees and some stones. All of the basic requirements required early in the game. Once you place your tower, you get the option for the tutorials and also your first interaction with the tech menu. You can queue up a few basic blue techs. They're your basic sort of staples and provide improvements. The harder, or rather more long-term researches to build up though are the colourful ones. you can see on the bottom left there's the water wheel being researched, whilst at the same time an upgrade that makes my nuggets stomachs more robust and makes them more resistant to seeing corpses, which is handy in this game, because see corpses they will. Next up, obtain a supply of water and some basic food. And from there just expand, as is the way with these sorts of games. They've implemented part of the magic system with the ability to make people fall in love, motivate them to work harder, the ability to heal up buildings, and a few wrathful methods of making your nuggets' lives less pleasant, such as rainstorms, but I assume all of that is due a bit of an overhaul before launch. If early indications are anything to go by, I think this is going to be a game that predominantly comes down to balancing systems. Be those systems food, making sure that you educate at the correct speed, making sure that you're producing food in the right volumes, making sure that you're not doing anything too much and producing a huge surplus of, say, stone or refined wood. Just keeping everything nice and balanced. I compare a lot of village building games, like Banished, to be akin to balancing plates effectively. And a good game will make that really, really appealing and enjoyable to do. And an infuriating and frustrating game will make that a complete chore. This game definitely seems like one to keep an eye on. I've enjoyed all of the time that I've spent with it, and a large portion of that has been frustrating as a consequence of the AI still being worked on, and the little nuggets being a little bit too independently minded. The game needs some more menus to make managing your town easier, but conversations with Q&A people on Discord has implied that that will be happening. At the moment, making sure that you are producing enough food whilst your engineers stay motivated and on the ball, along with your symmetry workers, it seems to be like the biggest challenge. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the end game challenge, like what the devs are working towards, or if the difficulty with maintaining your buildings will be toned down somewhat. But it's still quite playable and enjoyable as Banished on a big round world. I may not get to feel like a sad planet, but I am looking forward to owning another solid village building game. If they successfully implement all of the future technology and manage to make the game more of a God feel game with more indirect control and more independence to the nuggets, that will be a really nice bonus, as I'm quite pleased with what there is already. If you've played the game or wanted to play the game, let me know what you think of it so far. Also, folks have been telling me to make longer videos. This was an experiment with that. Let me know how I got on. Groups and such on the front page, and if you want to make it so I can do more new games, there's a Patreon. Toodle pip!